I'm going to show you how we can create vector graphics using a text editor. Now normally we'd create graphics using some sort of visual display package, but here what we're going to do is we're going to create a list of shapes that allow us to draw our graphic. We're going to use something called SVG, so this stands for Scalable Vector Graphic. It's an XML based format. I think we're ready now to jump in and get going and start creating our graphic. Now, first of all, we are going to use the Notepad text editor and we are going to save our SVG file and we're going to call it car.svg and then we'll save that. Before we can actually put the shapes in, we need to specify the XML namespace. What this does is this provides unique names for the elements and attributes. So we'll get that down. So SVG and then we do XML NS, so that stands for XML namespace, and then we reference that to a website, to a web page. And that's what we should have there. Let me just double check that that's correct. Looks like we've left that off. And so that's the opening tag, and we'll have the closing tag then for SVG here. So this is very familiar to, it's very similar to HTML. So if you're familiar with that, then this should make sense. Next, we're going to add in one of our shapes. We're going to draw a square to start with, and we're going to use the rectangle. We're going to use the rectangle element for that, and we're going to specify the width, which is 80, and of course, because it's a square, the height is also going to be 80 pixels. And we're going to specify the position of it. So this is the position of the top left of the square. So X is 150 pixels and Y is 70 pixels. And then we're also going to specify the color as well. And that's the shape. So we're going to save this, and we're going just to check to make sure that all works. So we'll get it open there. So there we go. That's worked. That looks like that's in the correct place, and it's the red square. So what we can do now, we can start adding in other components. We're going to create a car. That's the idea, and we're going to do it from creating primitive shapes like this. So next we're going to draw another square. So I'm going to just copy this and modify the code. So rectangle width is 40. So this is now going to be a little square inside that bigger square. So if you imagine creating the window of the car, and the position then is there. So that's now going to be white, and we're going to create another rectangle. So that's going to have a width of 200, a height 80 again. That's the same. That remains unchanged. 70, and Y is 150. So that's a rectangle there. Obviously our width and height are different, so that's how we can tell it's a rectangle and not a square. Then we're going to draw a line. So this line here is going to represent the road. So for a line, of course, we need to structure it in a different way. So we need to say the position of the two endpoints of the line. So this is the position of the first point, x1, and we have x2 then for the position at the other end of the line. And this gives the color of the line as well. So that's one of the properties we can have there. Of course, we can have thickness and other properties as well, but we're just sticking to the color of that line as its property that we're interested in. And then we're going to draw some circles for the wheels of the car. So the CX position is the position of the center of the circle, CY as well. And then R is the radius of the circle. And then again, we can fill that in with, well, these are going to be blue. And I'm going to just make that easy for myself, and I'll copy that again for the second wheel. And we will put down a slightly different place, but otherwise all the other remaining properties are the same as the circle above. So we'll now save that and run that and see if that is working for us. So let's double click on here again, and we have our car. Now you'll notice that it's not a particularly great car. This is the challenge of using a text editor to create your graphics. So you obviously want to produce something much better than that, but you can understand the principle of creating a list of shapes that allow us to create a more complex graphic.